point was Eevee is both a Pokemon and a D&D character.
No, it's not. Their names are spelled differently. Saul's character's name is like a nickname for something. Just because two words sound the same, don't make them the same, McDohl. Who am I kidding? Of course they do. All right. Who has a 100-word summary of all the trouble you got into last week?
I would say it's a distinct lack of trouble, honestly.
Oh, I remember what we did. We had 40 weeks of downtime, and then we got a letter from the, I can't remember his name, the Sherlock Holmes and Watson.
Sedgwick and Ray.
Sedgwick and Ray to come to Roduff because the wizard man is bedridden.
Oh,
And we've got a Final Fantasy Legend 2 in there to get the Magi out.
So we actually have a situation that's more like more than 40 weeks of downtime. We had 2 whole years of it.
Right, there was
Edmont's got a beard now.
Yeah, we had a 2-year time jump with 40 weeks of productive downtime.
Yeah.
Well, 40
Edmont...
weeks of independent downtime. Everything you guys did was productive.
Yeah.
Wait, Edmont has a beard now?
Yeah.
Whoa.
You didn't mention that.
This did not get cleared with me before the session.
Does he wear flannel now too?
I think Ekon is wearing his hair tied back now after the 2 years of downtime.
Are we talking man bun or?
Yes.
No,
absolutely.
No, he's got like a very long ponytail now.
Yeah, everyone has their like post time skip looks now.
like
Everyone's hotter.
Eevee has like short hair and Genie has long hair now. We've switched hairstyles.
Still don't know who's still dyeing their hair.
I think Saul has decided that Eevee dyes her hair. Because we had a discussion of like, it would technically be easier. It's much harder to dye black hair red than it is to dye red hair black.
And Eevee never does anything that's hard?
I feel like Eevee would be the one who like completely bleached her hair just to dye it black. And also, there's magic. What does that matter?
To show me, like, is dye hair a level 1 spell?
I would fall under the purview of a disguise kit, surely.
Eevee's proficient in that disguise kit.
Disguise self would probably is a first level spell, is it not?
Oh, it is. I didn't even think about using a disguise kit to like permanently dye your hair. So like disguise kit doubles as.
That's how she keeps her hair that color.
It's a makeup kit.
Like a disguise kit doubles as a beautician kit.
I mean, it's been several years since I've actually read the description of a disguise kit in the PHB, but like I don't think it's a stretch to say you can use it to change your hair color. I don't know what people were dyeing their hair with in Renaissance era Europe. I have no idea, but it would be something similar, I imagine, in Brennanine.
Probably something lead based.
Yeah, let's just
I know a decent amount about the histories of pigments used in like canvas paintings. I don't know anything about like hair color.
Probably something lead based.
Yeah, Eevee's absorbed so much lead into her bloodstream at this point. She's immune to arcane powder.
She just sinks now. She can't float.
At least the intelligence is explained.
Fortunately, in D&D, there's no rules for lead poisoning, so... And also, Edmont's immune to lead poisoning. He can eat as much lead as he wants.
Yeah.
It probably would
Edmont
still be
get
bad.
drunk.
That's a question I've seen hotly debated. Does poison
About monks and
immunity
poison
mean you can't get drunk?
Alcohol?
Like, it should, right?
Right.
Logically? Like, medically speaking, being drunk is a mild form of poisoning.
My ruling on that is monks can't get drunk.
I mean, you obviously can't get alcohol poisoning from drinking too much, but
I guess we could just let McDohl decide. If you want Edmont to get drunk, you have to give a poison immunity.
Bro, that's really sad. Why would you make me make that choice?
Well,
This is Ravenloft. That's why.
you've already made the
Jason.
choice because you survived the gas chamber. So, like,
That's
we
a
can't retcon it now.
That's a terrible choice. You can either get drunk, or you can go in the gas chamber.
And surviving the gas chamber didn't even get him anything. He just got beaten up afterwards. Like,
True.
welcome
that's
to,
some
I'm gonna
ki-
win either way. Welcome to Ravenloft.
Some
Oh, I
catered-
did.
It,
I did have one rules question.
Uh-oh. What do you got?
Oh God.
Is it possible that when I constructed my Staff of Healing, I also made it a house relic so I can use it as a spell focus?
Yeah, that's fine. As long as you don't mind lugging this staff around everywhere.
No, I don't.
Oh darn! The heel bonk staff is being lugged around. My encumbrance is going to die.
Is this the first time in 5th edition where we've had, like, a heel bonk item in the party?
Yes.
Alex could make them.
Did he, though?
Yeah, I use that feature a lot.
Oh.
Staff of Healing? That's not on the list.
Not a Staff of Healing, the spell trigger that lets you make a wand of a level 2 spell with 10 charges.
Oh yeah,
That's right, he did do
yeah.
that.
Yeah, I have that. That's what I have loaded into it right now because I can't think of anything better.
Invisibility's real good. Anything you want someone else to concentrate on.
Yeah.
I think I put Fairy Fire on it and let
did.
Arky cast it.
You did. That was really good.
So your mage friend, Zakwheel,
Friend is a strong word.
he's not your friend? Was he your
I
enemy?
think he's Jeannie's friend.
He and Jeannie were pen pals for a while.
Yeah.
Didn't he give you a book to take back to the university that you totally did not give back to the university?
That got
I would
delivered.
yeah, we delivered it.
Okay. I guess it technically did enter the university with us.
Whether it survived the fallout of what came next, I couldn't tell you. But that's not your fault. I mean, it's a little your fault, but you didn't do it.
You're sending mixed messages with that statement.
It's Ravenloft. Welcome to Mixed Messages.
Trouble, we've been gaslit for how many weeks now?
50 something. Hold on, I can tell you the exact number.
He's keeping track. He's got a little clicker. Every time you hear it, the gaslighting comes out.
Well, he reports or he publishes the session, so he knows exactly how many there have been.
Treble, do you watch them back to relive all the trauma a second time?
I don't watch every episode. I put them on like 4 times speed and make sure there's no like gross like screeching noises and stuff.
That's always a fun moment when you load it up into the editing bay and you see like a huge noise spike on the timeline for no reason. Like, oh, I guess that's where Orcus blew through the floor.
Yeah, remember when Destil had those really crazy like robot noises?
45.
Arthur Cedric and Atlantic Ray are here in Rodhuff. They had constructed a device by which the evil inside of Zakwheel's body, as he is suffering from this malady that has not responded to medical or magical treatment. The device is you're supposed to be able to climb into it, and then for vaguely scientific reasons that Sedgwick explains to nobody's satisfaction, will shrink the device down small enough to send a team into Zakwheel's bloodstream, inside of his body, to purge the evil from within. And when this device was constructed, Sedgwick immediately thought of the lot of you, because you've done this kind of work before, sort of. To great effect, as I recall.
Glad you think so highly of our capabilities.
I'm sorry, we go inside?
I mean,
Us.
this makes perfect sense to me. They've got some souped up version of the enlarge reduce spell. They're gonna stick us in the thing and then inject us Into his blood, I assume? Does he have blood?
Really be that minuscule? Because blood
Wouldn't we
travels.
die if we were in his blood? Wouldn't we drown?
Well, they had thought of that. And part of the device, he opens up this, it looks like it's lashed together out of barrels and sailcloth. But on the inside of it are 5 kind of potato sack soups with these bizarre looking fishbowl helmets. Each one of which has a length of hose coming out of the base of the neck that attaches to a tank in the bottom of the device underneath where you guys will be squashed into. The idea being that you will have some freedom of movement once you're on the inside to leave the vessel and go out and explore and purge the evil, as it were. But yes, if you were to remove the suits while inside, or if you were to break the hose, which would happen if you tried to move too far away from the vessel as it moves through the body. No, there's no oxygen inside. In fact, just the pressure of it might be very harmful. So they don't recommend you remove the helmet or breach the lining of the suit at any point during the excursion.
So,
I mean, first of all, it's all just meat in there. Secondly, Jeannie, do you have water breathing?
yeah, I do.
At work, is that blood breathing as well?
Water breathing would not avail you here because
It's not water.
well, it's not water, but
Water.
also the scale that you're dealing with here, your ship is going to be about the size of one of Zach Wheel's blood cells. And he has an anatomy textbook that goes into great detail on what exactly a blood cell is. He's got the whole PowerPoint he can show you. So at the scale that you guys are going to be dealing with, concepts like, and he puts in air quotes, breathing air or water are kind of immaterial.
Okay, first of all, what's oxygen? Second of all, tiny oozes in your blood? I don't buy it.
Then there are billions of these?
At least.
How would we ever find what we're looking for among billions of cells?
To this end, they've already done some work for you. Using a variant of the locate creature magic, they have managed to feed into Zach Wheel's system a sort of illuminating property that will latch onto the evil that's eating him inside. And they continuously use that term, evil, that needs to be purged out. There are 8 points inside of his system, and once you're in his body, you will be able to navigate through the various organs and intestines and blood vessels and whatnot to get to these 8 points from the safety and care of your vessel.
How big is this vessel?
Right now, it's in the corner of the room here, and I mean, it's large, but it's barely large enough to squeeze 6 people into.
Okay, we
All
go
right.
inside it. We don't just hang on to the outside and let it. Okay.
All right, show me
Does
to
that
drive this
propulsion?
thing.
So they're gonna shove you guys clown car style into this weird looking barrel. They're going to close the door and strap you in. Then they're going to shrink everything down, place you inside Zach Wheel's body. Once you're in, as long as you have the suits on and they remain intact, you could safely leave the vessel, but you wouldn't be able to travel more than, in game terms, more than 30 feet away. I don't know exactly what a 5-foot square is going to translate to at this scale. We're going to keep calling them 5-foot squares. Just...
How do we get back out?
They can handle that on their end.
Okay.
They'll have
So
a similar signaling method to what you used in the mirror, which is to say you'll be able to hear Sedgwick hollering at you through Zach
I'm so
Wheel's
glad
ears.
that we have another dungeon where that's going to
Is-
happen.
Is there an emergency way to get out if something goes wrong and we can't communicate with you? What happens if we just like hit a button and Resize the machine.
I hand him the sending stone.
There is very specifically not a button in the vessel that does that for exactly that reason. Because doing that would be absolutely catastrophic to Zaquiel's physical form.
How long can the magic sustain our tiny size?
4 hours at a stretch. So the plan is, if at 3 hours you haven't completed the task, you should abort the mission and make your way to one of any of the body's orifices for extraction. At which point you'll be able to rest and regroup, and then they can try again. They don't think it has to all be done in one shot.
Okay, so like this is not like this is life or death, but not life or death in a matter of like hours. Like we're on like a time scale of hours, not minutes.
It is, however, absolutely a task of life or death, because Sedgwick runs through a very long and exhaustive and completely impossible to remember list of things that you should not do when you're inside someone else's body. The list of things that will instantly and automatically cause irreversible death if done from the inside of your body is so long, it's somewhat like concerning. Like how any human is ever alive is beyond any of you.
Can I like make an intelligence check to remember this long, exhaustive? No, Jeannie doesn't care.
It's way too long and exhaustive. But it like boils down to like don't touch anything, don't do anything, don't breathe, don't move. Don't introduce. The big one is like don't introduce any foreign bodies into the bloodstream or organ tissues.
Jeannie will then immediately point out, isn't that exactly what you're doing by introducing our foreign bodies into the bloodstream and organ tissue?
Yes.
Or like super white blood cells.
Well, but we're gonna leave. Don't leave anything behind. So if anyone needs to use the privy, now's the time.
So the good news is, when you actually find what did I say? Eight sources. They're going to be very brightly illuminated because they've been signaled with a variant of the locate object spell. And because the actual malady is not medical in nature, it's some form of curse, that means that it can be very easily cleansed with, and they describe a type of cleansing salt, the sort that Pladden used to use. However, for a long list of vaguely sciencey reasons, these salt crystals cannot be subjected to the same shrinking process that you all are going to.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Here.
An extremely microscopic grain of salt would not have the effect. And he kicks part of the little compartment underneath where the suits are stored in the vessel, and inside are 8 gigantic salt crystals, each the size of 2 or 3 bowling balls, and very, very heavy. These salt crystals have been pre-enlarged so that when you're shrunk down, they will be the size of normal salt crystals, and each one dropped in one of these pools of evil will have the cleansing properties that you require.
All right, I feel like I have an important question. How did he contract this curse?
They don't know. He was comatose when they arrived.
Who called you?
Nobody. They were traveling through the area. They called in at the port at Lake Rodolph.
And the guards just told you he was sick?
Their reputation preceded them. People know who Sedgwick and Ray are.
Yeah, I mean, they went through our village. That's only a week's travel away.
Okay.
I think we're gonna have some questions for him when he wakes up.
So will they.
I mean, Jeannie will say he has been trawling the lake for mysterious objects.
Yeah, and we still don't know what he was looking for, but it may be that whatever he found down there may have led him to this.
You said that like pretty much we've kept in pretty regular contact over the last 2 years, minus the last few months, maybe.
Right.
Has Jeannie? Can you hear us, McDohl? He's having. Oh, okay, cool. The
On that as Edmont is stupid and doesn't really retain except that which would result in the immediate death of him or his family.
but my question was, did he let anything slip at all about what he was looking for?
No, his correspondence with Jeannie has been very playful, very cat and mouse. He's a man who likes to feel more important than people.
Mm-hmm.
And so if he wouldn't let anything slip in terms of, he might have like tantalizing, oh, you'll never believe what I found kind of, but no, nothing specific. And as far as I know, Jeannie hasn't had any cause to ask or require anything of Zach Wheel. Like their correspondence has not been transactional for those 2 years.
I get the feeling that Jeannie's probably the kind of conversationalist that would be the worst kind of, not worst, but least satisfying way to approach a conversation with Jeannie, because she would be like, that's nice.
So you've managed to keep lines of communication open with Zach Wheel. You have not made an enemy of the man. You've kept contact with him on relatively good terms. But in the past few years, you guys have been focusing on building up the wealth and prosperity of your village, and you haven't really had any use of him.
Yeah.
So
that may change in the future.
That sounded a little ominous. Is Evie going to go in there and start poking stuff? And
No.
I mean, if you want Zach Wheel dead so you can...
No. I don't want him dead.
And so what you're saying is at that scale, anything that we do that might affect water won't actually work because we'll be too small for it to be water from our perspective?
They know this to be true specifically for the water breathing spell.
Mm-hmm. But they haven't tried control water or anything.
I imagine control water would work on blood and plasma for...
Okay.
I mean, they did that in Avatar and it worked.
I mean, worst case, we have a decanter of water. We can introduce water into the system and control it.
I feel like that might be a terrible idea.
Remember about the part where the number one thing to do is not introduce foreign materials.
Somebody take that away from him, please.
I feel like we should just take everything away. So does that mean it is not safe for me to use poisons in this environment?
No!
I'm making sure.
So I mentioned that this list is long and exhaustive and impossible to remember. The number one thing circled in big red font is no poison.
Okay, Evie puts all her poisons into a box and leaves them outside. She won't even take them in with her.
I feel like Jeannie's
it's a locked box though.
Very, very upset at giving very upset side eyes to you and Victor. You should really know better.
Like the erupting earth, we've established that actually creates material, so I should not use that.
He wakes up with the worst
introducing
kidney
stone
stone
into his bloodstream.
So I won't use that. So basically, I'm just gonna be stabbing things. That's fine. That's what he was best at.
On the plus side, you can't accidentally leave your dagger because it teleports back to your hand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and on that note, what about should we be limiting what we attack with?
That's left to your discretion.
Okay.
We will be effectively underwater, so that'll hinder things a little bit.
So mechanically, you're going to track your vessel's movement through here. The vessel itself is going to take up 4 squares, and you cannot move further than 30 feet away from it, and that puts you at the very edge of your hose.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And there are only 5 suits for 6 people?
No, there's 6 suits. There's 6 of you going in.
I thought you said there were 5 suits. So I thought maybe someone had to stay in the ship.
Yeah, one of you's not allowed to play. Who wants to sit this one out?
Orson. Orson gets to drive.
Orson's way too effective in combat, so...
That's fair.
Retainer.
All right, I'm ready. Who's ready?
I'll be ready in the morning after I ask Air.
Is that something we can do? Is this?
You can take a rest and wait till tomorrow morning and prepare the
Yeah.
correct spells and whatnot.
All right. Well, in that case,
Should I prep sending, or are you gonna keep in contact?
I have given them a sending.
Yeah.
I have a permanent sending stone now. So
Yep. Just making sure.
Does that work only between the two people with stones, or can you send a sending to anyone?
2 people with stones.
Okay. So it's like a cell phone.
It is a two-way radio.
Yeah. So 1 time a day, 25 words. Of course, we only need 1 word. Help.
So tomorrow morning after breakfast is when you guys want to go on in.
Fine.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
So at some point in the evening, they demonstrate how the device works. The first feature they have, both of these features are activated from the outside by a panel that Sedgwick has access to, but you guys will not once you're in the vessel. The first thing it does is it envelops the entire outside of the vessel in this translucent membrane that requires a fair amount of force to push through. The idea being it will create an airlock between inside the vessel and outside.
Okay.
Nothing special has to be done to pass through it, but they do recommend that if you're going to pass through it, do so very, very quickly to limit the amount of material that passes from one environment into the other or back.
Okay.
And leaving the door open for extended period of times would be very bad. For a long list of vaguely sciencey reasons that are... the second thing is they demonstrate the actual shrinking process, which takes close to a minute and reduces the vessel to the size of a grain of rice, small enough to where they had to reach down and have to use tweezers to pick it up off the floor.
And then from this point, you would inject it into a...
They're going to administer the vessel into Zakwheel's body. And then once
He looks at...
once you're in the vessel, they show you how this kind of sonar system will work to show you the general direction of your 8 points of contact with the curse that is consuming Zakwheel's form from inside.
Genie looks at them very seriously and says, "Suppository?"
You're asking Sedgwick and Ray?
Yes. Yeah, are you sticking in it? Are we going in via suppository or by blood? What? Blue bloodstream.
I mean, now that you mention it, it does
Where are
just
we
so
entering?
happen that a suppository is the best way to administer certain kinds of medication. And in this sense, you all will kind of be playing the role of medication.
That's not how you get access to the bloodstream.
Sedgwick actually corrects you. It's actually very interesting, and you get a very long, vaguely sciencey biology lesson on how much point of contact there is between the upper and lower intestines and the body's bloodstream.
All right.
Before going in, I would like to cast Detect Poison and Disease as a ritual,
Okay.
and just give the body a once-over.
Evie lights up.
All that lead.
It's all that hair coloring seeping in. Medically, Zakwheel is not poisoned and is
Okay.
not diseased. I mean, just giving him kind of a once over, you think maybe he's got some muscle atrophy kind of thing. He's just been bedridden for a very, very long time. But having been in Ravenloft for 3 years now, you're not completely alien to this kind of medical curse. Sometimes people just get completely sick like this just because the world sucks. It does happen. Tria's sister is afflicted with a similar sort of catatonia.
ailment.
Well, if it's a,
We should ask these guys if they know how to heal her. Because we asked Van Richten, he kind of thought that the idea that we had been given probably wouldn't work.
Well, in any event, Sedgwick and Ray are fairly confident that this cockamamie scheme will work for Zakwheel's case.
All right.
I have no opinions on the cockamamie-ness of this because I am an artificer. And
They tell you that the experience of being shrunken down is very similar to riding a swift up-a-majigger.
it's a lift. Please don't call it an upper-majigger. Not you. It's a lift.
Everybody's
It's
calling
called-
it an up-a-majigger. It's the
It's
the
the-
latest
it's the-
fad.
Is the word in Dark for elevator up a majigger?
It is
it's-
now,
it's-
apparently.
It's lift.
Yeah, we're introducing a borrow word from Aetherine that effectively is lift.
Okay. So go ahead and take the
The
benefits
language.
of the long rests.
Destil, do you have any opinions on best spell to load in there? Like, I've got Cure Wounds in that spare wand, but
I mean, I've got a ton of those, but if you want to have them on tap, feel free.
We want to
Web,
avoid
Fairy
any-
Fire, Aid.
Web. You can't do web here. That would be introducing a foreign element.
well the webs disappear.
Yeah, it's not an instantaneous conjuration. It is a conjuration with a duration, so it summons something that is intangible once the spell ends. Instantaneous conjurations create things. Conjurations with durations bring things into existence that are sustained by magic and then fade.
Mm-hmm. The big question though is like, since the web lasts 10 minutes, is that long enough to give him an aneurysm?
These are all
Yeah,
It'll probably
excellent
just get
questions,
swept downstream.
and this adventure is going to provide Sedgwick and Ray with a great amount of data for this kind of excursion in the future. You all are pioneers in a way.
Aid is really good if you just want to have a big top off a bunch of people's hit points, but it's hard to get use out of more than 2 of them.
I really recommend not using Fireball in this environment.
It's
don't
no
think we want-
different than eating like a really spicy pizza.
We don't want to cause peripheral damage to his, blood vessels or boil his blood or anything like that.
You know what? I'm gonna load my go-to spell in there.
Fireball.
Have you been paying attention? What is the spell that I have cast the most this campaign? Did anybody get-
Benign transportation or whatever it's called.
Vortex Warp.
That's it.
So I now have
That's really good.
I have potentially up to 16 casts of Vortex Warp.
Oh, that's really good in that thing.
Oh, I have a question. So the new air bubble spell is on the Artificer list from. I don't have it prepared, but I just noticed it's on the Artificer list, that air bubble spell from not Planescape. Spelljammer,
Okay.
the one where you put like a fishbowl over your head.
Okay. That's functionally what your suit's going to be doing for you.
I got the assumption. You made it sound like there was also like a pressure thing with the suits.
I mean, this might surprise you, Treble, but I don't actually like hold a degree in biology or anything. I don't have any idea how any of this works. I played Breath of Fire 2 and Final Fantasy Legend 2, and that is the extent of my expertise on going inside the human body.
Are we gonna go in and fight fat cells?
I feel like I would find that scene to be vaguely sexist if I replayed that game.
I mean, she was cursed by the spirit of gluttony, and she had like magic fat cells in her body, making her fat, trying to turn her into a demon.
What
and
a
you go in
dumb
and kill
game
them.
that is.
No, it's great. I love it.
I love it too, but it's dumb.
It's not dumb. It's amazing.
So yeah, go ahead and take the benefits of the long rest. You wake up the next morning. You have a big breakfast. Zekwheel's servants and things here in his little tower are kind of working at the behest of Sedgwick and Ray for the time being. Eugenia, you for sure would know that this is probably not going to go over that well. Once the two of them... If he manages to come around, like he finds out that these people have invaded his tower and eaten a bunch of his food and...
Saved his life.
Yeah, but that's just details.
I mean, Jeannie will tell them to be like, Jeannie would have been like, as part of the whole more positive outlook on her life that she's trying to adopt.
Mhm.
Like the reason she's neutral and not like chaotic good or something is because it's a work in progress.
Sure.
But she's trying to have this outlook on life. She would have told everybody that she was keeping in. She would have come clean about the whole everything involving that. Like, like I lied to you. We didn't have to go back. I didn't have anything on the thing. And then she also would have thrown that in Edmont's face about that. So that means that his point about not going into the Giggle Dungeon is wrong. So he should go into the Giggle Dungeon.
So all of you have to endure Jeannie's lectures before going into this man's butt.
Jeannie has been probably a little insufferable about the whole thing.
Evie doesn't have any room to complain. I did murder her.
Jeannie's probably a little bit like a newly converted like religious person. You know that kind of like super.
Oh, you mean how half your village is converted to Heimdall?
No, I don't care about that. But no, I mean like newly converted, like in real life, where they're like super gung ho about it,
Mm-hmm.
and then they preach about everybody. You got to make the world a better place. So anyway,
By going into this man's butt.
yeah, we're gonna go into the butt. We're gonna make him our friend.
We're going where no man has gone before.
Well, that's probably not true. Like,
You think he's had men up his butt before?
no comment.
Moving on. So we're getting shrunk.
So yeah,
Just dissociated for a minute there.
Does the potato suit fit over my armor?
yes, it'll fit over your armor and equipment. In terms of having access to your gear and your packs and things, anything in your pack will have to be packed into this vessel. Because you're not going to be able to reach into the suit and get into your pack. So there's room for everything, but they're folding you in like Tetris blocks into this thing.
So how does the bag of holding work underwater? Like, to put something in or to take something out takes an action.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if just opening it doesn't make things come in or out, does that mean the bag of holding is watertight?
I believe so, yes. Because you can't just open the bag underwater and drink the whole ocean. Because if that was the case, some asshole would have done that already.
I mean, it will only hold like 500 pounds of water. So anyway,
So no, to interact with the bag of holding, you actually ask for the thing you want.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the space it opens into is an astral pocket or something, which is...
But would the object still be full sized?
I guess you're going to have to try it if you get in there.
That could be very, very dangerous to say, I want a big thing.
That is the exact kind of like not like no nonsense, like obvious in retrospect, like observation that an Genie would not 100% see. She would just like, no, bag of holding's fine, it's fine. Well, are the objects?
This is why you have Evie.
Sedgwick is fairly clear on the point that this excursion probably will not be dangerous for the lot of you as experienced adventurers who have gone into bizarre dimensions before to fight evil. The chance of Zach Wheel's recovery is admittedly very, very low. Any number of 10,000 things could go wrong.
I'm going to leave my bag of holding out here.
Okay.
You can deal with the poisons in the decanter of water.
Yeah, because a lot of these questions they just don't have answers to. Nobody's ever gone inside a body and opened a bag of holding before.
Yeah.
Maybe if we get like somebody who's sentenced to death row or something, we can do that. Like, I don't know,
So
maybe. But like,
I will empty out my scroll case except for the Revivify scroll, and I will put the rest of them, and I'll bring the scroll case inside the airtight part
Okay.
of the contraption.
Isn't Ray?
The case itself is airtight, but
Ray is the one in the wheelchair, right?
Yes. Sedgwick does
Well-
most of the talking for the duo.
Ray is an artificer, isn't he? Does that mean he has Revivify on his spell list?
Probably. Is he an artificer? I'm not actually sure.
I don't know. Well,
They build bizarre contraptions and things all the time.
right. I don't know. That would just be you. Like, if he can cast it, leave the Revivify scroll with him. That way, if we accidentally kill the man, they can bring him back.
He
I would
wakes
take-
up and he's like, "How come there's 500 gallons of water in my
I
stomach?"
think if we burst out of his chest from next to his heart, I don't think Revivify can undo that much damage. I think bodies need to be basically intact for it.
What they
I
do
meant,
know
like,
is
give
that
it
if
an
you guys don't
aneurysm.
go in and administer these salt crystals to these 8 magically evil spots, that there's no hope of recovery for him. At best, he will just languish in this coma until his body wastes away.
Huh. So Breath of Fire 2, is this is less going in to kill the fat, this is going into the well to kill the evil idol thing.
Yeah, a little bit.
So is my Iron Stone rotating inside or outside of my helmet?
I guess it's just clattering around on the inside of the
Okay.
fishbowl, and it's really loud. Just banging around in there.
But probably only you can hear it, though.
Ekon spends the whole adventure just going, "What?"
My familiar is not going to be useful in here, so he'll stay outside.
Anyway, make sure that they have the sending stone. Let's see who has, just to verify. It's just to go over real quick with everybody. Victor has the boots of flying, the infused boots of flying. Edmont still has the cloak of protection. Evie has the headband of intellect, and I've got a spell refueling ring. And then Ekon has the permanent boots of flying.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, when you come up next morning, they already have Zach Wheel prepared. They've got him laying face down on the bed with his knees bunched up under his torso, and his robe tipped up, butt cheeks akimbo.
I didn't need this full description.
Yes, you did. We all did.
Was it a suppository before I asked?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
It was going to be a big surprise.
No, we know how you think.
I have the phrase butt cheeks akimbo written in my notes.
Yeah. Good. This is not my fault.
No, it's the fault of whoever drew this map.
Oh no.
Oh no.
So yeah, they pack you into this vessel. So you've got your gear and your pack, your various backpacks and things that you won't have access to on your person. I guess you could wear the pack on the outside of your spacesuit. And then 8 gargantuan salt blocks packed in underneath, in compartments underneath your seats. There's not enough seats for all of you. There's enough for like probably Ekon and Edmont to sit in seats with Orson, and then the rest of you kind of have to climb in, and whoever goes in last, I mean, they're shoving against the door to get it closed, and as soon as they do, Sedgwick wraps this this bracing harness around the outside and secures it, and might be the most physically uncomfortable space you guys have been in. You're not sure whose elbow is poking you. You're not sure whose butt is in your face, but
For reference, Ekon has brought his scroll case, which is strapped on the inside, his staff, his shield, and his armor,
okay.
plus his attuned magic items. None of his spell components are needed for spells I've prepared, so those are all sitting out there.
So the other 5 of you are sitting crammed in here like, Ekon, do you really need to be wearing this heavy-ass armor right now?
I mean, Jeannie's wearing her armor.
The
Orson is-
sensation of being shrunken down, because you don't really see anything from the outside. There's a little kind of porthole in one side, but probably only 2 of you can glance out of it from your positions crammed into this device. Jeannie, the sensation of being shrunken down as you feel it happen over the course of a minute feels almost exactly like being weightless inside of a very fast up-a-majigger.
Please stop saying that word. It really bothers my character.
I would never do anything to upset Jeannie.
Jeannie is your favorite, so be quiet. Jeannie will say, "Oh, good. I was slightly worried that the vehicle would shrink and we would stay the same size, and then we would all be crushed."
Now, for the purpose of verisimilitude, I'm going to need all of you to talk in high-pitched chipmunk voices for the rest of the episode.
I think there's a
There,
filter we could get.
I'm not going to do that.
I mean, I think the oxygen was shrunk along with us.
The discomfort compounds exponentially as you presume Sedgwick has picked up the vessel with his little tweezers, and you can imagine that he's being as gingerly as possible, but you guys are being jostled and thrown around and banged and bruised up, packed in like sardines. And then everything goes very, very quiet and gets very, very dark. You are surrounded by close-in, rhythmic, suppurating sounds. And you pass through what feels like miles and miles of dark tunnel. The vehicle itself does have a magical light source just on the inside of the membrane that will illuminate the area around you. And I mean, Evie, you've been inside lots of creatures. So
Yeah.
this is just...
Well, I think I've only been inside one.
It was nothing like this.
No.
Evelyn Veritas, known vor enthusiast.
That is slander. That is misinformation.
Yep, that's a butt. That's a sphincter.
So here's your vessel. We'll use one of these go tiles, and it's going to be about that big. You guys are going to have to be shrunk down for this. Oh, this is a fun map. I'm going to see if I can give you guys the 8 points of interest pinging off your device inside the vessel. Just because you already know where these are. How to get there is a different story. But the goal is to reach each of these points and introduce one of those gigantic grains of salt, which are now just normal-sized grains of salt. All right.
I think maybe some of us should get out and hold on to the outside of the vessel because I don't know that we can steer it with all of us in here.
Well, at the point you're at now, steering it isn't actually that big of an issue because you can see the size of the thing compared to the size of the tunnel you're kind of squishing down. And you're not so much flowing down the tunnel as you were you're like moving along by the muscle contractions on either side. One feature of this dungeon as you guys get out and move around is every part of it is in constant motion. But it is now safe to exit the vessel if you so desire.
I don't think we...
I don't want to get out in someone's ass.
Oh, you're way past the ass at this point. The end of the tunnel is this large valve, for lack of a better word. This large, fleshy membrane that, at your scale, opens a few inches in the center as fluid travels from the tunnel into whatever's on the other side, and then contracts shut once again. And your vessel just kind of, if nobody gets out to do anything, just kind of... I'm sorry, we call this thing the brown note. I'm not mad, I just want to know who did it.
I did it. I'm sorry.
As the brown note just kind of comes to a stop as it rubs up against... It's too big to fit inside of this valve at the end.
It said this was not going to be a dangerous job. I have never felt more in danger than things surrounded by all this pulsating tissue that's going to crush us at any second.
So Ekon will get out, and can I make a medicine check to like try and figure out where I think we might be?
Your medicine check will not avail you here. This is very far beyond any of your skill or training. You're inside of the body somewhere. And I don't know if this is a comfort to Ekon or not, but from this perspective, It doesn't just look like all meat.
So everybody is tethered to the ship, right?
Yes, you're tethered by a hose. I'm not going to track like the actual hoses. Like, I don't care if you tangle them or whatever. But you can't move 6 feet away without detaching the hose. This
6
is your...
feet?
6 squares.
6 squares.
So
30 feet.
Okay.